We are back. It is fight season. It's me, Jesse Rowe, with Inside Fighting. We're doing a special little Friday edition here with Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson going down tonight. We've got UFC 309 this weekend, so there's plenty to talk about. We're going to be covering the slap heard around the world, Mike Tyson slapping Jake Paul. We've got Dana White telling Jon Jones that he cannot get away with not fighting Tom Aspinall. So there will be plenty to talk about. But let's start with Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson here, because there was a lot to go over. So yesterday we started off with the weigh-ins, and there was much to be made about Mike Tyson's weigh-in photo. I'm sure some of you guys saw it, that, myself included, where I thought that Mike looked a little long in the tooth. I do think that maybe there was some bad lighting on those photos, but we are officially now entering fight day. Jake Paul will be taking on Mike Tyson tonight, and I'm pretty excited about it. I have some thoughts. I'm sorry, guys. I'm having some issues here. Give me a second. I have some thoughts, but let's go to that weigh-in photo, because this sort of made the rounds yesterday, and people were talking about how old Mike looked. And truthfully, I think Mike looks great for a 58-year-old man. I think he looks awesome. Am I worried about the fight? Yes, I am worried about the fight. I hope that the 14-ounce gloves helps. I hope that we don't see anything bad, but I do think that this is a 50-50 fight. It's reflective in the odds. Mike is currently a plus 200, I believe. Look at the odds, but I know Jake is a minus 200 at the moment. So it's not there's not a super big gap in the odds. Jake's not a heavy favorite. But yeah, so this photo started making the rounds, and people like Sean Strickland weighed in and were pretty upset, saying that, like, this fight shouldn't be happening. And if anybody wants to weigh in, if they think that we have nothing to worry about, if they don't want this fight to happen, let me know in the comments. But I want to read you this Sean Strickland tweet, because I thought it was interesting. Sean Strickland took to Twitter. He said, "Jake Paul's a clown. Your ability to make money off of stupid people is impressive, but being rich won't buy you dignity. You're fighting a 60-year-old man who's just trying to make a dollar by risking his life. You're a scumbag." And also brought up how Mike had a medical emergency a month ago. Now, it wasn't a month ago. I think it was actually back in May when it happened, or end of May, early June. Now, for people who don't know, Mike had an ulcer flare-up while he was on a plane from, I believe, Miami, if I'm not mistaken. I know that I think it was Miami. He had an ulcer flare-up, and it was it forced the fight to be postponed. The fight was originally supposed to happen in July. They moved it to November. This is what caused the fight to be postponed. And so Strickland was pointing out that you're fighting a guy who's coming off of like a medical emergency, essentially. You're fighting a guy who's coming off of having medical issues as a almost 60-year-old man. I think it's a fair point. I do think we have to remember that Mike does have some autonomy over himself. This is a legend of the sport. He does have, he knows how to protect himself. But I kind of agree with Strickland. I'm not, when this fight was first announced, I wasn't in love with it. I was not in love with it. I didn't think this fight needed to happen. I didn't think that this was a necessary fight for Jake. This huge risk for Mike. But I will say it was all worth it, because yesterday we got one of the most iconic moments of all time. We got Mike Tyson slapping Jake Paul. Now, whether you like Jake or not, it was still an incredible moment of time. I'm going to show it to you, because this is absolutely incredible. Take a look at this. Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
So it looks like, based on how I'm looking at it, it looks like because Mike got upset because Jake stepped on his shoes. That seems to be what bothered Mike here. Is Mike has made comments in the past about how he doesn't like people stepping on his feet. He says, like, he wouldn't fight in the UFC because he would just tap out if somebody were stomping on his feet, because he has bad feet. And so Jake crawled up in there, and apparently he stepped on Mike's toes, and this is what upset Mike. So he immediately slaps him.
Ladies and gentlemen,
And we'll watch one more time. People thought it was fake. That was full connection. It was full connection. Take a look at this. Sorry. Look at this photo. You got to hang this photo in the Louvre. That is incredible. What an incredible moment in time. Mike Tyson slapping the shit out of Jake Paul. We are truly living in a simulation. It's incredible. It's an incredible photo. I hope this photo needs to be like framed in a museum somewhere. Incredible stuff. He full contact, so it definitely was not fake. And I got to admit, as somebody that was not excited about the fight, I was concerned. I was nervous. I had very real fears for Mike entering the ring. This moment kind of changed it for me because Mike showed that he still got that he's got that killer in him. I mean, if you saw that interview with him and Jazzy's World TV yesterday, the little girl, the kid reporter, she asked him about his about how he wants to leave his legacy behind, and he goes on this diatribe about how legacy means nothing and how we're all going to die one day. We turn to dust. Nothing that we do on this planet matters. A very nihilistic, but also sober and humble thing to say to a 12-year-old girl or whatever she is. Mike is purely in fight mode right now. This is the old school dangerous Mike Tyson that we have, grown to love over the years. So I have changed my tune a little bit. I do think Mike is prepared, and I do think that the photo yesterday of him at the weigh-in was kind of just like an unflattering photo. I think that he actually looks great, and he looks ready to go. I just hope nothing bad happens in the ring. I hope we don't. I hope this doesn't end ugly, but he does look ready to go, and I hope it's competitive. Whatever you may feel about Jake Paul, I do think he's a real boxer. I do think that he has real skills in there, and or at least he can throw a real power punch. And I would hate to see that land on a 58-year-old man. And I don't want to see Mike Tyson getting knocked out on Netflix. I just don't want to see that. I don't need to see it. Don't want to see it. But at least we got this moment. At least we got this. We will always have this. We'll always have this. Anyways, we are going to move on, but first we got to get a little message in, pay the bills, get a little message from our friends over at DraftKings. We'll be back to the video in just a second, but first, UFC 309 is going down this weekend, and it's the big one, guys. It's the UFC Heavyweight Championship with the return of the GOAT, Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the UFC Heavyweight title. And Inside Fighting has you covered because we have partnered up with DraftKings to bring you guys an amazing offer where right now, if you're a new DraftKings customer, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, bet $5, and you'll receive $200 of bonus bets instantly just by signing up with our promo code Inside Fighting. And if sports betting is not yet available in your state, do not worry about it. Just go play DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports. Get in on the action there. Again, if you're a new DraftKings customer and you want to bet on some UFC 309, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets with our promo code Inside Fighting only at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The crown is yours. So shout out DraftKings. Thank you guys as always. One of the best ways you guys can support us is by using our promo code at DraftKings, placing some wagers. Tell them that Inside Fighting sent you. That's the best way you guys could support us. So let's move on to UFC 309 here, because we had the press conference yesterday. Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic. This fight's finally happening. This was another fight that was postponed and moved because the fighters are too old. But no, so this fight was supposed to happen about a year and a half ago at UFC. God, I forget which one it was, but it was supposed to be at Madison Square Garden as well. No, sorry, not a year and a half ago. It was supposed to be last year, but Jon Jones has been out for a year and a half. So yesterday, Dana White kind of made headlines because obviously Jon Jones has been people are accusing him of ducking Tom Aspinall, right? That he doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall. He's been avoiding him at all costs. He doesn't even want to answer questions about him. He says that he doesn't want to do business with him. And yesterday on an interview with Jim Rome, Dana White made a comment where he was asked about fighting Tom Aspinall. And he was asked about, will Jon Jones fight Tom Aspinall if he beats Stipe Miocic? And Dana had kind of poured cold water on Jon Jones' hopes that he would fight Alex Pereira instead of Tom Aspinall, because this is what Dana said. He said, if Jon Jones wants to fight again after Saturday night, he will fight Tom Aspinall, making it clear that Dana has no interest in a BMF fight between Jon Jones and Alex Pereira. He even made a comment about how Alex Pereira's wrestling isn't up to snuff, that he would just that Jon Jones would essentially dominate him because of the weight difference and everything, even though supposedly Jon and Alex walk around at similar weights. According to Jon Jones, at least, they walk around at the same weight. But yeah, this definitely poured some cold water on it. So I do think that UFC fans were relieved to hear Dana say this. Dana is one of us. Dana does see the light at the end of the tunnel to say, hey, like, we have to keep the heavyweight division going. We cannot have an interim title holder for 2 interim title fights. We just can't do it. So he did pour cold water on that. And then at the press conference, Dana was asked about it again. And Dana was asked by a reporter, will the winner of this fight Tom Aspinall? Will the winner of Stipe Miocic versus Jon Jones fight Tom Aspinall? And Dana was clear. He says the winner will fight Tom right in front of Jon Jones. And then the crowd at the press conference started going crazy. They started cheering Tom's name. They started cheering, cheering for Tom, who later says that he apparently wasn't even allowed at the press conference. This morning on UFC Countdown, Tom Aspinall claims that he was not allowed at the press conference yesterday. They essentially blacklisted him because they probably didn't want. Apparently, Tom wanted to get on the microphone and ask a question. Apparently, they didn't want to do that to Jon Jones. I could understand why they wouldn't do it, but yeah, that's what they say. They say that Tom said that he was not allowed to show up and confront Jon Jones about fighting the winner of this fight. So, this also comes on the heels of apparently yesterday, Jon Jones refused an interview with TNT Sports, who the host is British and he has ties to Tom Aspinall. So there's just this long line of things happening here where it just seems like Jon Jones is becoming more and more inconvenienced by the Tom Aspinall situation. And I've said before that I don't necessarily think that Jon is ducking Tom. I just think he's inconvenienced by this whole thing because it wasn't in his plans. He wanted to fight Cyril Gane, get the championship, and then he wanted to fight Stipe Miocic, beat the heavyweight GOAT, and then he could ride off into the sunset. And then he got injured, and now all of a sudden you have this, young rising star in the heavyweight division that's coming for your crown. And this wasn't in Jon's plans. He would rather fight big money fights, big legacy fights, and fight somebody like Tom, who's a huge risk. And he knows it, and I can understand it. I can understand why it's such a big risk. But during this fight, what was very interesting, during this press conference, which was interesting, is that Jon brought up that Stipe Miocic made a comment about his kids. And I tried looking for this clip. I was trying to find it. I tried to find anything about Stipe Miocic talking about Jon Jones' kids. I couldn't find it. What I believe Jon was referring to is a moment where Stipe made a comment about his own kids. And Jon Jones mistook that, or he's twisting it and turning it into a situation where Stipe was talking about his kids. But apparently Stipe Miocic didn't like it very much. Daniel Cormier said on UFC Countdown that Stipe was pissed off yesterday, that when leaving the press conference, Stipe was very upset, did not appreciate being brought up, did not appreciate being accused of talking about Jon Jones' kids. And you just wonder why Jon Jones brought this up. And it almost makes you think about Michael Jordan and how Michael Jordan used to just manifest things to get angry about, to manifest storylines, to manifest motivation. This is what all the great ones do. So it would make sense if Jon's just sort of trying to create some sort of storyline, some sort of narrative here, because this fight originally was marketed as like Battle of the Baddest, or like Battle of like the baddest men on the planet. And then that kind of went away when Jon got injured and they had to reschedule this fight. Because in that time, you had the Francis Ngannou Tyson Fury fight, and then you had Francis Ngannou fighting Renan Ferreira at PFL, where they were marketing that as the Battle of the Baddest. So then it was, how does UFC has to follow that up? They kind of scrapped that whole like marketing narrative. And it almost feels like this is Jon Jones' way of creating a like a storyline as a way to like market and hype this fight, but also provide some added, a little bit of added like motivation, a little bit of added juice for himself, to fight a guy where there really wasn't a lot of built-in storyline. It was really just a battle of two goats. It was just a battle of the best of all time versus the best heavyweight of all time. So he's just trying to find a way to market it. Final story of the day. Anyways, yeah, so that goes down tomorrow night. Sorry, guys, I'm a little distracted here. That goes down tomorrow night, and we will see. Let me know who you guys got. You guys got Tom. You guys got Jon. Do you guys think that Jon's ducking? Sorry, do you guys got Stipe? Do you guys got Jon? Do you think Jon is ducking Tom? Let me know what you guys think. Last story today. We're going to have a short one. This just popped up last night. I thought it was very interesting. Supposedly, there are unconfirmed reports that the interim championship in the works for UFC 310 is not Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Kamaru Usman, which was originally reported. Supposedly, it is Shavkat versus Ian Gary. This is unconfirmed. There is nothing official about this, but this is the report that came out last night. And it's interesting because Ian Gary, as of right now, is booked to fight, or was reportedly booked to fight Joaquin Buckley at UFC Tampa. That was going to be the main event for that card. So if this is true, I mean, this is a huge step up for Gary, obviously, and it's obviously an incredible fight. The UFC could have gone a few different ways with this. They could have done Jack Della Maddalena. They could have done Kamaru Usman. They could have done Joaquin Buckley. They could have done Sean Brady. They could have gone a few ways here, but this is reportedly what the UFC is working on for UFC 310 now that Belal Muhammad is out. Now that Belal Muhammad will not be fighting at UFC 310, this is reportedly the interim title fight where the winner would fight Belal Muhammad sometime next year. We don't know yet, but Dana White did say that he will be announcing a fight either today or tomorrow. I forget what he said, but they're going to be announcing this. They're going to be announcing the next fight. And if this is it, I think it's an absolute banger. I think it's a fascinating fight. I think these might be two of like the top 3 or 4 welterweights right in the world right now. So I absolutely love the fight. I don't know who I got yet, but I just love this direction. I think this is kind of a testament to two different guys who played their cards in 2 very different ways that are ending up kind of at the same destination, and I love it. And I'm excited. I'm excited for Ian Gary. I hope he gets a chance to prove himself, get a little redemption arc from everything he's kind of been through personally over the past year. Whatever you may feel about him, I'm excited for him and an opportunity to put his skills on display. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys who do you guys got in this one? If this is the title fight, if it is Shavkat versus Ian Gary, who you guys got? Let me know and why. Who you guys got? Mike Tyson, Jake Paul tonight. We got Stipe versus Jon Jones tomorrow night. It's an incredible week in combat sports, fascinating week in combat sports, and I couldn't be more excited. To those of you guys who've been watching, I know that there's been like a few of you who've been coming in and out. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, let me know if you like these live streams. If you want me to keep going live more, or if you think it's better to do the dueling banjos format where you have 2 people talking, debating back and forth, which is what our normal format is. Or if you like this better, let me know. But anyways, thank you guys so much. Thanks to DraftKings for sponsoring the video, and we will see you guys later. Peace.